Can you tell me the story of how you discovered the Institute and how you got here?
Yeah. Um, so I was an in-home therapist, not with the department, but for another agency. And Forrest and I were actually on a case together. So I was an in-home therapist, and he was a therapist for another child who was placed with the Institute. I'd been learning at that time about reactive attachment disorder and about attachment and trauma. And so I really understood where Forrest was coming from for how it is that he treated families and treated children. And we really seemed to really understand what was going on with one another, being in agreement on where this case needed to go. And from there, he and I shared a couple of other cases and worked really well together. Once I left the Department of Human Services, I had actually reached out to Forrest to ask what he would recommend as far as trainings and, further education and reactive attachment disorder and, attachment itself to further my work in that, since I enjoyed it. And he invited me on to be a therapist, an independent contract therapist with him. As a caseworker, sometimes I would feel like the parents didn't really feel like I truly understood where it is that they were coming from, because they had been living with their kids for so long and, with these behaviors and, just weren't feeling like they were getting the support that they really needed to, help, feel better or help make the situation better, and even getting the right services in place for their kids. What I felt was missing was, I think, permission to, or at least for the parents, permission to, feel the way that they felt. I think a lot of times they felt like they absolutely had to keep their kids in a home at all costs, but to that end, I feel like sometimes that made things worse. Instead of doing things like we do here at the Institute, where the kids go live with the treatment families and relearn some behaviors and learn how to be family kids, and for the parents to get support through the therapist and also the treatment parents. I felt like there was just always this pressure to keep the kids in the home, even if it wasn't working, and even if it meant that they couldn't, they weren't really learning anything differently. The amazing thing about the Institute that I saw is that the treatment parents as well as the therapists were always available, even after the case closed or even after the child was moved back home, to support the parents. I feel like when you have a child that has reactive attachment disorder, you need as many people in your life who understand as a parent, who understand what you're going through, who understand your child, and who understand that you are doing the very best that you can. I think oftentimes there is, with what's missing is, that constant support network, and people who are really invested in helping you succeed as a parent and helping your child succeed no matter what that is, without blame or judgment about what's going on. The other thing, as I think about it, that's missing is that there's not really, the way that I view treatment parents is they really, help, get these kids, build them from the ground up. This is how you become a family kid. Whereas I saw as a caseworker, there's not any other service like that, where I'd seen services that address trauma, and I'd seen services that address helping the parent view their child differently, but no service like the Institute, or no program like the Institute, really focuses on, okay, we can get underneath the trauma, but we're and teaching the kids that this is what a family is supposed to be, and giving them that template because that's what was missing from the very beginning for them. I feel like as a caseworker, I felt desperate. I felt very sad most of the time, and feeling like there's no hope for some of these kids, and knowing that they needed a program like the Institute, and not being able to get them the help that they needed here. With the Institute, for whatever reason that was, whether a supervisor said no, that's not possible, or somebody else who didn't feel like it was a good fit. with here, I feel good about the fact that I'm following a model that I believe in. I'm doing really a lot of work that I believe in. I'm within a supportive environment. So I think another thing I'd like to say to caseworkers and frustrated parents, and even frustrated professionals, is that, because a child is struggling, it's not your fault. It is not your fault, and you didn't cause it, you didn't create it, and you are doing the best that you can with what you have and what you know.